Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the part 3 of implementing Ansible on the Azure cloud. And in the last classes, we have mainly focused on understanding what is Ansible, what is configuration management. Similarly, we have also seen the step-by-step process of how you can install Ansible. The main server where Ansible is installed, we named it as the controller, and the remaining servers, we named it as server 1 and server 2, but basically they are my managed nodes, right? So today we will try to understand, sitting on the Ansible controller, how do you perform any automation activity on the remote servers? Okay, that's what we'll try to understand. Now, basically, I'm making these videos very short, 15-20 minutes, because I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information in one single video. You can just watch a 15-20 minutes session, try to practice it. Once you're comfortable, you can move into the next one. But the entire content is going to be quite long. So you have to spend some time practicing everything. Okay. So again, we need to connect to the controller in order to execute the Ansible commands. As I mentioned in the last class, Ansible performs these activities in 3 ways. One is known as the Ansible. If you recall, what are those things? The first easiest way, or the ABCs of Ansible, we call this as the ad hoc commands. What is the second way of implementing activities on the remote servers? Using Ansible playbooks. And the last one is called as Ansible roles. So whether you are working on ad hoc commands or Ansible playbooks or roles, one thing is common. Ansible is a configuration management tool which is designed using Python. And what Ansible does is it uses certain Python modules. There are certain Python modules with the help of which Ansible performs all these remote configurations. Now, does that mean that I should know Python in order to work on Ansible? Not at all. Not at all. We don't require Python knowledge. What I'm trying to tell is Ansible is a software which has been designed using Python. And we just need to understand what are these important modules and what are the arguments that are passed. How do you implement them? If you have understanding of that, that is sufficient. So it does not require any kind of Python coding knowledge. All that is not necessary. Okay. So what I'll do initially is I'll try to give you a list of some of the important, very commonly used modules in Ansible. I'll just give you a basic definition level understanding of those modules. As we go with the sessions, practically one by one, we will try to work on all those modules. Okay. So let's go to our notepad, and I'll just put a heading something like this. Let's say important modules in Ansible. Okay. The first module that we will be discussing is called as the command module. As the name itself is telling you, command module is used when you want to execute traditional Linux commands on the remote servers. Any Linux command, if you want to run on the remote server, we generally go with the command module. The next one is called as shell module. Shell module, if you have a shell script, you have a Python program, or you have certain Linux commands which are related to redirection, piping, etc. Those kind of commands you can execute with the help of shell module. The third module is known as ping module. I mean, the names are almost self-explanatory, right? Ping module is used to check if the remote servers are pingable or not, whether they are reachable or not. Okay. There is something called as user module. Now, traditionally on a Linux server, to perform user administration, if I want to create a user, we use a command called as user add. If you want to modify a user, you give a command called as user mod. And you want to delete that user account, you use a command called user del. Now, what these commands in traditional Linux, what they can do on one server, my user module can perform that activity on any number of servers. Okay, so it can create user accounts, it can modify existing user accounts, it can delete user accounts. So anything related to user administration I want to do on the remote servers, we generally go with the user module. Okay. The next module of Ansible that I'll teach you is known as the file module. Now, let's talk about traditional Linux. For example, if I want to create a file on a Linux machine, probably I can go with a command like touch or cat or something. If I want to create a folder, a directory, I use a Linux command called mkdir. Once a file or a directory is created, if I want to change the permissions, I go with a command called as chmod. Similarly, if I want to change the ownership of a file, I give a command called chown. If I want to change the group ownership, we give a command called chgrp. And finally, if you want to delete that file or directory, we go with a command called rm. Now, these commands of Linux, what they can do on one server, your file module can do that on multiple machines. So with the help of file module, I can create files, I can create directories, I can change the permissions, I can change the ownership, change the group ownership, and eventually I can also delete files and directories, not on one machine. Keep in mind, whenever we talk about Ansible, we are always talking about doing activity on multiple servers. So all those activities can be performed. The next module of Ansible that I'll teach you is called as the copy module. Now, generally in a Linux machine, if you want to copy a file from one server to another server, Linux uses a command which is known as SCP. Okay, so secure copy. This SCP command works only when you have SSH connections. And in SCP command, the syntax of the SCP command generally looks like this. SCP, you have to specify the source file, and on the remote server, which user you are connecting, that user name you have to provide the IP address of the server, and then you have to specify the destination where you want to copy. So if SSH connection is established, with the help of that SCP command, you can copy files from one server to another server. But as you can see, this SCP command is copying only into one server. Whatever IP address you give, only into that one server it's copying. I want to copy a file into 1,000 servers. What will you do? Will you give this SCP command 100 times? Or you have to design a shell script or a Python program which has some looping mechanism where automatically via the loop, this IP address keeps on changing and it should handle that. All those complications are not necessary. Ansible can perform that with a one-line command, a one-line statement with the help of a module which is known as the copy module. So copy module can copy files and directories from the Ansible controller to the any number of remote servers that Ansible might be configuring. Okay. The exact opposite operation of file module is known as the fetch module. When copy module is copying files from the controller, imagine this is your controller where Ansible is installed, and these are our managed nodes, server 1 and server 2. So copy module is copying files from controller to managed nodes. Fetch module is copying files from managed nodes to the controller. It's the reverse operation. Already there are certain configuration files on the remote servers. You want to bring them into the controller. Then we use this module called as fetch module. I hope it's making sense. Okay. The next module is called as APT module. Generally, on a traditional Ubuntu server, whenever you want to do any software package management, it could be installations of softwares, uninstallations, updation, all those things, they are done with something called as the APT package management system. But again, in traditional Ubuntu, that APT package management, for example, I want to install a software called Git. That APT command will help you to install Git, but it will install Git only on one server. Now I have 100 servers where I want to install Git. Ansible provides a module called as APT module. With the help of this module, I can install softwares on n number of servers. I can uninstall softwares. I can upgrade software packages on any number of machines sitting on the Ansible controller. Whatever you do with APT module on Ubuntu servers, the same thing if you want to work on Red Hat Linux machines. As of now, in my case, on the Azure Cloud, I created the controller and the managed nodes as Ubuntu servers. But I mean, if you are interested, I'll also show you scenarios where we can also use some of the servers running on Red Hat Linux machines. I mean, I just want you to comment in the comment box. And if someone is interested, definitely I'll also create certain servers which are running on Red Hat Linux, and we'll see how it works. So APT works on Ubuntu-based servers, and Yum module works on Red Hat Linux machines. The next module that I'll teach you is called as service module. Service module, the main purpose is any service activities. For example, you might have noticed that on a server, whenever you make any configuration changes to a particular file, you say sudo service, that particular software name, and restart. Sudo service SSH restart. In the last class, we have done it. When I was making configuration changes to the SSH files, we gave sudo service SSH restart. Similarly, sudo service Tomcat 10 restart. Like this, whenever we make any changes to a particular software application, we either restart it, sometimes we stop it, or we start it. But these traditional Linux commands, they work only on one server. I want to restart my Tomcat on 10 servers or 100 servers. Ansible provides a module called as service module. With the help of this service module, I can start services, I can stop services, I can restart services on any number of machines. The next module we'll see is URI module. It's very simple. It's used to check if a remote URL is reachable or not. For example, from my servers, I just want to check whether my application, which is designed by our developers, is reachable. So URI module we can use. Git module. Git is a version controlling system. Generally, the Git commands like cloning and all those things, when you execute it, it happens on one server. But this clone operation is something that I have to trigger on all my team members' machines. So rather than going to each and every team member's machine and executing the git clone command individually, Ansible provides this Git module, which can do that on multiple servers. Okay. The 13th module that we will see is called as get_URL. Okay. It's a download command. In Linux, generally, whenever you want to download files from some remote servers, we use a command called wget. The problem with wget is it will download those files only into one server. I have certain files which has to be downloaded into 1,000 servers. I can't manually go to each and every server and trigger this wget command. That is where we use this module called get_URL module. Okay. The next module is called as debug module. This is the print module of Ansible. Any modules output you want to print or any customized messages we want to print, we can depend on the debug module. Similarly, you have something called as stat module. The purpose of the stat module is to capture detailed statistics, detailed information about already existing files and folders. Who created a file, when it is created, what is the size of the file, what are the permissions on the file, all that information you can capture with the help of stat module. The 16th module is called replace module. Replace module is used, the name itself is telling you, if you have a file where certain text has to be replaced with something else, then we can go with the replace module. It will identify a particular portion of your file. It will replace that with some other content. Okay. The 17th module that I am going to teach you is called as pause module. If you just want your Ansible to pause for some time before it continues its activities, because maybe your application is still doing some restart. Until that restart operation is over, we want our Ansible to wait. Then we can depend on the pause module. I'm sorry, this is my 17th module, right? The 18th module that we will be learning is called as Docker_container. This is Docker_image. And last one is Docker_login. Now, all these are commands which are related for integrating Ansible with Docker. Practically, we'll see all those things. I mean, my main intention was to cover Ansible, but if you people are interested and you're understanding what I'm teaching, you can ask for that in the comment section, and I'll try to include and show you how Ansible can be integrated with Docker. That's a beautiful concept. I mean, Docker is a containerization technology, and once Ansible is integrated with Docker, you see it literally looks like magic. So if someone is interested, please comment, and definitely we'll create a video on integrating Ansible with Docker. Okay. So though I have listed approximately 20 modules here, as part of our upcoming videos, we will be definitely seeing at least 25 to 30 modules. Okay, this is just a basic overview. Now here, I just wanted to give you a definition level understanding of the various modules which are available in Ansible. Probably, I mean, until we see it practically, it does not really make much sense, but it's okay. I mean, just be comfortable with your own pace. Just go with your own pace. Just watch this video to whatever extent you are able to understand. That's okay. Once we see the practical implementation, I'm sure things will become more clear for you. Okay. So as always, any further questions you have, please give the comments related to that. If possible, we'll definitely give answers on that. And please subscribe for these for our channel. The main reason is because, I mean, we are doing this absolutely free of cost. There are free of cost. There are no hidden charges, nothing. So if you subscribe and if you like the content, obviously it will reach more students. So with that intention, we just want to help as many potential DevOps candidates, job seekers, as much as we can. So try to subscribe for the videos, and any further questions you have, please post them in the comment section. Okay. So in the next video, since we understood these modules, we'll practically see how to implement one by one all these different modules. Okay. So I think this is sufficient for now. Thank you so much.